WWE is doing some of its biggest business ever, but that doesn't mean everyone is happy with them. It's just the latest controversy for a company that's courted outrage for decades. WWE didn't actually allow the press to attend its September 12th event, announcing that 2027's WrestleMania would be in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The YouTube stream of the announcement did have a live chat though. Nearly every comment was negative, with many simply stating, "You sold out." The top comment on a separate YouTube clip referenced $1 Million Man, saying, "As Ted DiBiase said, everyone's got a price." Fan videos from WWE's Worlds Collide event the same day showed the crowd booing and chanting "You sold out" during a promo video about the announcement. WWE shows in partnership with the Saudi Arabian government have been controversial ever since they started in 2018. WWE largely weathered the initial PR hit though, insisting that their shows were bringing progressive ideas to the country. The fan outcry about WrestleMania 43 seems to be about something entirely different though. This will mark the first time Mania has occurred outside the US or Canada, and it means lots of fans who travel to the show each year won't get to go in 2027, nor will all the indie shows that happen over WrestleMania weekend get to happen. So basically, the sentiment is that corporate greed has taken away most US fans' opportunity for the biggest wrestling weekend of the year. We'll see if WWE changes its plans in response to the backlash, but they seem pretty locked in at this point. Lots of fans initially thought R-Truth's June 1st announcement that his WWE contract wasn't being renewed was a joke, but it wasn't. Truth did, in fact, disappear from WWE programming after just having had one of his biggest showcases, a Saturday night's main event match with John Cena on May 24th. Plenty of Truth's colleagues, including Cena, posted tributes to him and said what a great locker room presence he was. Fans, meanwhile, got mad. They started chanting, "We want Truth at every WWE show," through segments and matches that had nothing to do with him. It was impossible for WWE to ignore the outcry, and Truth was back at Money in the Bank not even a full week later. Paul Triple H Levesque took some additional heat after the fact though, when asked at the Money in the Bank press conference about the reversal of the decision to let Truth go. He implied it was a work the whole time, saying,
"You enjoying the show? All part of the show, man."
But Truth and his son have both made clear on social media that his departure was very real, and that lying about such a thing was in bad taste. Truth's forced departure was only temporary, but plenty of other WWE performers have been let go over the past few years. Some have come back, others haven't. This was particularly the case in 2020 and 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic. WWE released more wrestlers in that time frame than they did in the previous 5 years combined. The cited reason for most of those releases and Truth's was budgetary concerns, despite WWE pulling in record profits. At SummerSlam 2025, WWE stopped holding press conferences after its premium live events. People assumed it was because some controversial things happened at that show, namely the return of Brock Lesnar and fans booing a video package of Triple H at an event at the White House. But frankly, the press conferences had never really gone well, and the headlines that came from them were almost always negative, particularly for Triple H. Take, for example, the press conference after Bad Blood 2024. A reporter asked Triple H about the lack of black wrestlers on a show that took place in Atlanta, a hotbed of black culture. He responded,
"I don't see the color, I don't see the nationality, I don't see any of it. I just see talent."
That comment set social media on fire. Commenters pointed out that Triple H came off as totally oblivious as to what he was actually saying. By arguing that the only qualifying factor to be on a card was talent, he was inadvertently stating that no black wrestlers were talented enough to get a match on Bad Blood. For decades now, WWE has mostly revolved around Top Guy, a fan-favorite babyface champion, with the two biggest examples being Hulk Hogan and John Cena. When Cena was on his way out the door to Hollywood in the mid-2010s, the top brass was looking for someone to anoint as the next top guy. That ended up being Roman Reigns. His group, The Shield, had just broken up, and he had proven himself as a reliable powerhouse. But Roman still had some major weaknesses, promos specifically. So when WWE started positioning him as the babyface everyone was supposed to love, fans weren't having it. They much preferred Roman's former Shield stablemates Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, both of whom were much better on the mic. The 2015 Royal Rumble match was meant to be Roman's crowning moment. After his win, Roman's cousin, The Rock, joined him in the ring to raise his arm and get the crowd hyped. But the Philadelphia faithful did the opposite, booing both Reigns and Roman out of the building. Roman went on to multiple WrestleMania main events and title runs, but none of it really worked. The fans still didn't want him. What it ultimately took to turn the whole Roman Reigns project around was a heel turn. When Roman came back after an extended break in 2020, he had a new, more aggressive attitude. That evolved into him being the tribal chief and the highly successful bloodline angle. Now, he's beloved. Fans have also spoken up pretty loudly when the wrestlers they love don't get the opportunities they think they deserve. Before WWE co-opted it and made it the story of WrestleMania 30, the Yes Movement was a real groundswell of fan support for Daniel Bryan. Fans believed he had been held down for years, and WWE finally had to give in to their demands and make him champion. The Give Divas a Chance social media campaign was similar, with fans protesting the limited ring time a lot of women on the roster got. Kofi Mania went much the same way, with fans insisting Kofi Kingston get his flowers and the title at WrestleMania 35. Then came the build to WrestleMania 40. Fans were sure Cody Rhodes was going to dethrone Roman Reigns as undisputed WWE Universal Champion the year before at WrestleMania 39, but it didn't go that way. So when Cody won the 2024 Royal Rumble match, it seemed like he was on his way to right that wrong. Things got all mixed up when The Rock came in and got involved though. The newly appointed member of the TKO board of directors arrived, hugged Cody, and attempted to hijack his spot at Mania, challenging Roman for head-of-the-table status. Fans understandably lost it. They've been rooting for Cody to finish his story and win the title for nearly 2 years at that point. Handing over his chance to do that at WrestleMania was ridiculous in kayfabe and borderline insulting in reality. Fans loudly chanted, "We want Cody," and jeered The Rock's blatant power move.
Enjoy the ride that The Rock is going to take your candy asses on. So hashtag that. Hashtag Cody Crybabies.
Fortunately, The Rock backed off. Cody got his match at WrestleMania 40, finishing his story in the process. As is often the case, some of WWE's creative leaders insisted that was the plan all along, but it's pretty clear it wasn't. After introducing the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in 2014, WWE decided to book a Battle Royal for the women's roster at WrestleMania 34 4 years later. It was originally announced as the fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal, named after another late Hall of Famer. Andre certainly has a few dark stains on his legacy, but Moolah's was soon revealed to be unfixably tarnished, despite WWE claiming that she challenged gender norms and pushed women's wrestling forward. David Bixenspan of Deadspin explained why fans were outraged by the name honoring Moolah. His piece detailed accusations of sexual abuse and trafficking at her training school in South Carolina. Moolah was even described as a pimp by some of the women she trained. Even with the criticism, WWE held on to the name for the match until it started affecting the money. The lead sponsor of that year's WrestleMania, Snickers, demanded that WWE change the name in light of the bad PR. The match went on as simply the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. There was a second one at WrestleMania 35 before the Battle Royal was dropped altogether. The Montreal Screwjob has been rehashed to death, so we'll keep this brief. Bret Hart was on his way out of the WWF, headed for WCW. He didn't want to drop the title in his home country, Canada, at Survivor Series 1997. But then WWE head Vince McMahon was terrified Hart would take the belt to his biggest competitor. So when Shawn Michaels put Hart in his own submission finish, the sharpshooter, referee Earl Hebner, called for the bell, despite the hitman not submitting. The fans in Montreal were ready to riot, as was Bret, who tore up the ringside area, spat on McMahon, and spelled WCW out with his finger. Backstage, Hart knocked Vince out cold with one punch. Wrestlers threatened to boycott the following night's episode of Raw, and the Hart family berated those they believed to be in the know. Rick Rude, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and the British Bulldog all left the company when their contracts expired, citing the Screwjob as a major contributing factor. There are lingering after effects from the Screwjob even today. Michael still gets a mixed to negative reaction in Montreal, despite he and Hart having publicly made up. That said, WWE managed to spin it into a positive ultimately. The Screwjob basically created the evil Mr. McMahon character, and his feud with Stone Cold Steve Austin got business booming again after several lean years. WWE fans are no monolith. While they sometimes present a united front, they can also pretty staunchly disagree with each other. Look no further than the reaction Vince McMahon coming out to Heroes Welcomes in 2022 got. A series of stories in the Wall Street Journal had reported that McMahon had paid various women $12 million in hush money and forced them to sign non-disclosure agreements to cover up allegations of sexual misconduct. WWE announced that McMahon voluntarily stepped down as CEO and chairman on June 17th. But that same night, he showed up on SmackDown. While he said very little, the crowd cheered wildly for him. He appeared on Raw twice more over the next 2 weeks, again to big ovations. It was as if Vince was saying he was untouchable. McMahon officially announced his retirement in July, and his daughter Stephanie opened the July 22 episode of SmackDown by leading those in attendance in a "Thank you, Vince" chant. While the live crowd cheered Vince on every time, plenty more people at home were incensed to see McMahon get such adoration in the midst of the allegations against him. Vince actually returned to WWE to oversee its sale to Endeavor in 2023, but he was gone again by early 2024, after former employee Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit with abuse and trafficking allegations.